This is a universe based on attraction. There's no exclusion. So when you say no to that thing I do not want, I'm blocking it out. You're not saying no, you're saying yes. Because you're acknowledging its existence. You're acknowledging that it's big. You're acknowledging that it's sort of after you. You are carving a pathway without even meaning to. So we know this is annoying, but what it comes down to is recognizing that every subject is really two subjects, wanted and not wanted. And you can tell by the way you feel whether you're leaning in the direction of the wanted or the unwanted. So lighten up. Accept that you live in a world of diversity and balance and variety, and bless this world, because out of it you have carved your ideas of who you are and what you want, which are dominant. Acknowledge that the source within you is wrapped all around all of that you want, and is looking to you and through you for the fulfillment of all of it. Acknowledge that it doesn't matter what negative or contrasting components helped you come to those conclusions. They are non-issues now because they did their work. You've launched the rocket. It has become a vibrational reality. The source within you is there offering the vibration of that reality in such a powerful way that if you're not doing that thing you do by trying to block that you will find yourself in a vibrational place where you will receive inspiration, and the vibration of it will turn to a thought and an emotion, and then to words, and then to behavior, and then to material objects. I get it wrong, because the universe isn't going to change rules on you. Law of attraction isn't going to suddenly start behaving differently. So you're going to come to understand the effectiveness of what you're doing by what happens in response. And by that we mean by how you feel. And we want you to get 100% out of the problem-solving mode. Because the problem-solving mode is always the blocking mode. It's always the resistant mode. The problem-solving mode always clouds your receptivity. And your receptivity is the only thing that you're reaching for. I just started realizing that when I feel good, things go good. So I just started really paying attention to my mood. And I found out I can always control my mood. I can't control what's happening out there, but I can control my mood. Well, how? What if something bad happens? How can you look at something bad and control your mood? Oh, I can't. Can't look at bad things and feel good, so I just don't look at them. What if they're right in your face? Well, they used to be in my face more, but the more I don't look at them, the less they come around. So stuff that bothers me becomes less and less, and I just get happier and happier. How are you going to turn that vibration to a thought and that thought into a manifestation? How are you going to keep that momentum going? You keep that momentum going by beginning again tomorrow and beginning again tomorrow. Conditions will take you this way and this way and this way and this. But if you're reaching for the feeling, the emotion of love, if that's the manifestation that you're going for. So if you're just going for the manifestation of love, that's easy. It's the most natural instinct that you have. So sometimes as we talk about unconditional love, people think that what we mean is you'll get really good at this. You'll get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You'll get in sync with source. One who's connected to the stream is more powerful than a million who aren't. And then you will control the conditions around you so that you can feel good. A lot of people, that's as far as they're getting in this conversation of unconditional love. Where what we mean by unconditional love is, I want so much to be in concert with the source within me, that I am in this experience and this one and this one and this one. I'm feeling for alignment. I'm feeling for alignment. I'm feeling for it and finding it. 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 So now I'm in the receptive mode. And in the receptive mode, I only have access to the conditions that match the receptive mode. I'm not controlling the conditions so that I can find more good ones. I'm tuning to the conditions. But I'm not doing it for the conditions. I'm doing it for the alignment. Can you feel the difference? Sort of. Someone said, Abraham, how does one get rid of doubt? And we said, before it starts, which is totally annoying. But what we mean by that is get up and tune yourself to alignment, which isn't doubt. And then hold yourself in the frequency of what feels good, and doubt will never come. But if you wait till it comes and then you try to get rid of it, all you do is validate it. and practice the vibration of it longer. Can you feel this? In time, you will be out ahead of it. Your mood matters more than you ever thought that it did. But most people think that their mood is controlled by conditions. That's conditional love. If you don't let your mood be controlled by conditions, if you control your mood because you mean to, when you have a great day around others who aren't, now you know you got it. My goal is to wake up tomorrow happy and see how far into the day I can go and still feel happy. Who's the next one? Right there.
Hi, first of all, I want to thank you. Unbelievably, you have changed everyone's life that I have mentioned Abraham and the number and call this number and get the tapes, including my family sitting right here, and my father, and that, you know, my brother and my father didn't speak for a few years, and now they're in love with each other, and I just, you know, I just can't tell you, yeah.
It feels so good to feel good, doesn't it? Doesn't that just feel right? Yeah. Isn't that the way it is?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Especially, you know, working with psychology and tapes and gurus and workshops for 20 years, over 20 years, and when I listened to these tapes and I was there with my tapes when Marie always sees me running in and I have my tape program, of course, on, either it's Tony Robbins or whatever, and I said, when I had yours on, I said, this is it. This is it. This is the key.
Well, they are all part of it. In other words, there is so much out there. In other words, your readiness for this is because of much of that. And your readiness for what will come beyond is because of much of this. In other words, there is no ending to what you will attract unto you to help you to expand into. In other words, if you can clarify your wanting of it, we promise you the universe will deliver a means for you to have it. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You're that good.
Well, I'm thrilled. My issue has been, and I'm really actually embarrassed to say this, being that I've been to every workshop and all of this, but that's why I guess I need to ask the question, is the last relationship I had felt like a rubber band. Probably 75 times in a year we must have broken up. Like, just every other week. It was just like, no, this isn't working, boom, but we got back. And that's my question, and I worked with you the whole time, meaning everything else in my life was great. But there's certain key issues.
Well, now let us ask you some questions here that will sort of take you off the hook. Did you know at the time that you attracted that person to you what you know now?
Right the second?
Yes.
No, and that's why it's shifted.
And so, were you as clear about what you want from a relationship before you attracted that relationship as you are now?
No, it added excellent contrast.
And so, and do you find some sense of appreciation of what that brought you to, because now you are much more decided about who you are and what you want in a relationship? And can't you find some real satisfaction in all of that? In other words, you take college courses in order to gain knowing. Esther reads computer books endlessly in order to gain knowing. In other words, she took years of typing in order to get her speed up to 130 or 140 words a minute, and yet you expect to just hear a few words from Abraham and instantly know everything about vibration. It takes some practice. In other words, it takes some contrast. That's what life is about. Life is the contrast that brings you to decision. And then your real work is then to bring your feeling tones along with that decision. It's a never-ending process. And so bless this wonderful relationship that helped you in the clarifying process. Beat up on yourself not one bit, because, you see, it would not be possible for you today to attract that relationship, because you are vibrationally so different as a result of that relationship. And that relationship will be part of every relationship that comes from now on. In other words, no relationship ever ends, because they are eternal relationships. And so in the moment that you stop trying to make it ended so that you can begin a new one, you misunderstand. In other words, what you're wanting to say is, hey, thanks a lot for all that clarity. Now what do I want? Now what do I want? Now what do I want? And the more you are able to really find the feeling place of what you want, the less abyss will be before you take your next leap. Your society has worked against you a bit because they say to you, you should choose a partner and you should live happily ever after with that partner. You actually have worked that into your marriage vows. You say, we will stay together until death do we part. And we say, ha ha ha. You say, we stay together until death do we part, no matter how bad we are to each other. That's basically what your marriage vows say. I promise to stay with you in sickness and in health, and da-da-da-da-da, no matter how, and that's illogical. In other words, that goes against your natural inclination to follow your bliss. And so it's ever so much more satisfying to get in a blissful place and attract a blissful person and live blissfully hereafter than to be in a negative place and attract a negative partner and then try to get happy from that negative place. In other words, anybody who knows what you now know and is between partners is in a really good place. And those of you who know what you know and have a partner that is not pleasing you in every way, you still have the opportunity, if you will forget your observation a bit and amplify your imagination, you can change your relationship and make it much more of what you are wanting to be. Because your partner is like the universe at large. Your partner is responding dominantly to your vibration. We talked to a woman involved in a relationship recently, and her partner was not pleasing her in most every way. And she was feeling such negative emotion about it. And we said to her, you know, that negative emotion that you're feeling means that you are right now vibrationally not in harmony with your own inner being. In other words, that's what negative emotion means. It means you're vibrationally so different in your vibration than the vibration of your core that your core isn't within you. That's why negative emotion feels empty and hollow, because who you really are is not flowing through you. We said to her, if your inner being can't join you under these conditions, how do you expect your partner to? In other words, you can't evoke a joyful, happy person to you unless you are feeling joyful and happy. But what most people are saying is, hey, if you would change your behavior, my response to your behavior would feel better to me. What most of you are saying in relationships is, I have no control over my vibration because after all, I'm just an observer. And what I observe here isn't pleasing me, so please change it so that I can observe something that pleases me so that I can be happy. And he says on unconscious levels, oh boy, this feels like entrapment. Because now I got to do this to make her happy, and this to make her happy, and this to make her happy, or vice versa. In other words, you both do it to each other. Until eventually you blame each other for your feeling of bondage. Where if you establish your relationship in the beginning and you say, I am not responsible for your joy, but I am responsible for my joy. If your marriage vows would say something more like, it is my absolute promise to you that I'm going to do everything in my power to keep myself as happy as I can possibly be. I am going to be the most selfish person you have ever known. I am going to monitor my thoughts, words, and actions, and I'm only going to choose that which makes my heart sing, because that's the best partner I can be.